All right, time for chapter one. As I begin to tell my story, I would like to tell you all that I have found closure, comfort, and the ability to live with everything that I will say. I'm not looking for justice. I'm not looking for somebody to go raise a pitchfork in my honor or whatever it is. I'm fine. I just want other people to know that you can live through experiences like this and not have them change you. You don't have to become a bitter person because life tried to make you bitter. Sometimes you can just piss it off by being nice still. Anyway, chapter one. I was born. I was born a fighter, for those who don't know it. My mom had a terrible accident about 6 weeks pregnant with me, and she got in a bike accident. And she was impaled. I mean, I once again wasn't alive for all of this, so I was told the story. She was impaled by a small piece of rust that went into her stomach. My family isn't exactly the greatest in the world when it comes to medical care, or pretty much you'll learn. But my grandmother's opinion of it all was they pulled it out, they cleaned it up as best as they could, and they threw an actual raw steak over my mother's stomach. They didn't know she was pregnant with me at the time, so who knew? Anyway, story continues on. About 4 months into it, my mother gets really sick. Obviously, large hole in your stomach starts to grow. And she goes to the doctor, and the doctors diagnosed my mother with cancer because they seen a growth in her ovaries and the gangrene that she had now developed through the large hole in her stomach, and basically started my mother on a lot of therapy for cancer. In the 80s, I want y'all to think about what that was like. So then my mother went through about 3 months of cancer therapy, and at 7 months pregnant, my mother was told that she was actually not had cancer. She was pregnant with a kid and had gangrene in the female organs. My mom was then given a choice, and I'm forever thankful that she made the second. Because she was told that she was going to have a really, really retarded child. It wasn't going to be worth much. I went through several weeks of cancer therapy, so the baby inside her they couldn't promise would be much of nothing. And she still chose to fight for me. She still tried to keep me alive, and at 8 months pregnant, she gave birth to me. I've been told a lot of things about me. I have been told a lot of things that I wouldn't be. But I'm alive, and my story starts there, fighting for life. Needless to say, I grew up okay. I ended up being all right. I will say that, yes, the cancer did affect parts of my body. I have a portion of my lung that did not develop. I have a quarter of my intestinal tract that did not develop. The part of my brain that tells me that I'm hungry either works or it doesn't. So I will literally eat everything in your house, or I'll go 2 days without eating and never notice any different. That's why I'm always eating, because I don't know if I'm hungry. So I just keep eating. It's probably why I'm so skinny too, because my body never holds. It never fills up. Let's see what else was undeveloped. I was told I was sterile. Obviously that was wrong, but we'll get to that later. A lot of my body on the inside didn't develop, and obviously some of my outside parts didn't develop. The teeth thing, I'll get to that later, but it's a combination of being born as cancer, having cancer later in life, and also coming from a family where I have no enamel on my teeth. I was born without the enamel. And my family thought washing with baking soda twice a day was cool. So I didn't actually know you could do anything other than brush your teeth with baking soda until I was 12. But anyway, that's the start of my life. I came in this world as cancer, fighting to live, and somehow lived. We'll skip forward. My parents got a divorce at 18 months. That's kind of a cool story, but we're kind of, it's their story, so I'm going to let them tell it. Well, my dad's dead, but my mom can tell it, if you know who she is. So we'll flip forward. My dad left. My mom took care of me and my brother. I'm probably going to air a little dirty laundry here. My family's going to hate me a lot for this whole story, but I really don't care. My mother is a lot of things, but I got to admit she's probably one of the most courageous women I've ever met in my life. Because my family, on my mother's side, she had to deal with a lot of crap. And I'm sorry if you know the man before he passed away, but the man I knew and the man y'all knew were probably two different people. But my grandfather was how do we put this? He liked to keep it in the family. And my mother chose that was not a life she wanted for me. So instead of being part of the family heresy and getting all of the great money that we had, my mother chose to be disowned by our family and leave, because she wouldn't allow me to go through the same abuse she had to. I appreciate that. I appreciate living poor every day of my life. because that woman was trying to protect me from something scarier than I knew. So that's pretty much why I was raised up poor. We're going to go on through the different places where I've lived and stuff. But we'll go on through the first tragedy, I guess, of my life. I was 5. My mom got married for the first time to my stepdad. His name was Daryl. Certain things you never forget in your life. And my mom used to go to the store. And when she'd go to the store, Daryl would give me a bath. I was 4. And this went on until I hit kindergarten, and I told one of my teachers about what my stepdaddy did. And let's just say, my stepdad was put in jail. My mom was dubbed a horrible individual because she just didn't see it. I don't know if she didn't see it. I don't care. All I know is it wasn't okay. And what happened next wasn't okay. Because then, being the almighty great government that we live under, no, I'm not anti-government, but I'm anti-certain fucking parts of the government. They decided because my mom married a child molester, my mom was no longer a good person, and she could no longer raise her 2 children. So my brother and I were awarded care of the state. I don't know if y'all know what that feels like to a 5-year-old, but I want y'all to understand. I didn't have a dad. I didn't know what my stepdad was doing was wrong. And all of a sudden, a bunch of people came through and told me that my life was no longer good enough, that they were going to give me a better one. Let me describe to y'all the better life they gave me. They gave me to my aunt, my brother and me. I'm not going to give her name, but she knows who she is. They gave us to her. This woman had money because she kept my family's money. She stayed part of that. That was cool. This woman beat us relentlessly every day of my life. If I would get sick, she would hand me a children's NyQuil bottle the family size. And we had to drink it in one drink. And if you puked it up, you got the fucking shit beat out of you. And you got to do it again. Until you could just do it. I used to puke in my fucking pillow at night when she would do that, so she wouldn't see me puke it up. I would sleep on a pillow that was covered in puke to avoid another ass woman. I was 5. Oh, and to the world. Oh, to the world, I got to hear it all the time, how great this woman was, because she took 2 children into her home. She was such a selfless individual, sacrificing so much. What y'all didn't see was how fucking horrible she was. Like one day when I was 5, I don't know how many of y'all know that in school when you're 5, you do things in class, like schoolwork, and when you're 5, you sometimes don't do it right. And I failed a test. A spelling test. You know, cat, dog, the, it. Wasn't quite up to date on how to spell all those yet. I got an F. And it scared me, because I didn't know what she would do. So I ripped the paper out of my books, and I shoved it in the bus seat. I thought for sure it was over. She would never know. The next day, was it Thursday? The next day I went to school like everything was cool. And when I came home that afternoon, I'll never forget it. I walked through the front door first. I don't know if she planned that or if that was just how fate made it work for me that day. But when I walked through the front door, this woman swung at my legs with an aluminum baseball bat. I'm lucky she didn't break both my freaking shins. But she did hurt them really bad. Both of them were black and blue, and I literally missed school for 2 weeks because I couldn't move over an F on a spelling test. So remind me again, to those people who decided my mother was so bad, how much of a better life did you really give me? Because I can literally go on about the abuse and torture in this woman's house, the things she put us through. And what's even worse is when I tell this story later, they sent us back. I was 6 when I finally got out of that house. I love my 2 cousins there, her sons. I was so scared for them. I was 6. Do you know what it feels like to be a 6-year-old who's afraid for other people? At 6, you're supposed to be afraid of the boogeyman, not knowing them personally. At 6, you're supposed to be afraid of the things that go bump in the dark. You're supposed to be afraid of scary movies. You're not supposed to be afraid of the demons inside your own home. But I was raised up being afraid of those very things. My aunt was a horrible woman, and I don't care who hates me for saying that. She was a horrible, horrible woman. The things she did to me, my brother, and her children, her stepson, and her babies are unacceptable. You know, she never lost her kids. She was always a good mom. She had just enough money to hide the stories, so no one noticed what we had to go through. So the next time you look at someone rich and think, wow, they've got it together. And then look at a poor family and think, those poor babies. I preferred being poor. Anyway, it's the end of chapter 1. We'll go to chapter 2 where it gets a little bit better because I just left my aunt's house and I'm 6. Y'all, I'm 35. We got quite a few years to get through.